I'm sorry you heard that. No, I just, do a little bit of, singing or selecting before I do whatever. But anyway, hello everyone, welcome to my video. I'm so happy for all of you to here today. I want to welcome all of my ladies, my gentlemen, my muses, my warriors, my wizards, my knights, my winners, my losers, my idiots, the morons, the ones that live in the Oval Office. Hello all of you. And of course, my rats. I'm so happy for all of you to be here today. Yes, it's been quite some time since I've been uploading episodes, and honestly, I want to apologize. Recently, I've acquired a new type of employment that involves, believe it or not, portals and transporting people from places to places. So it is something extraordinarily. It can be complicated for some, but honestly, it's not that big of a problem. For me, anyway. I'm so happy for all of you to be here today. I am somewhat excited. There are two topics that perhaps I'm jumping back and forth on, but I'm not sure if I should tackle this particular subject, if I should do it for a later date, or if I should do it today. So, but first and foremost, I hope all of you are taking care, that all of you are practicing in safety, whatever it is, that you make sure that you have the proper guidelines of safety at your disposal, at your ready, and that you understand that people like myself, other teachers and professors in the academia, are here to lend you our aid, our wisdom, our knowledge, our hands, other parts, can be very lonely. So, no, but I am very happy for all of you to be here today. I am actually happy myself because I have acquired perhaps a patron or perhaps a sponsor of sorts, not a sponsor. I don't want to get your hopes up. We're nowhere near that popular. We're nowhere near that big either. I don't know if we'll ever be that big. These sort of channels tend to be a bit more niche, unfortunately, but it is something that all of us have to deal with, and all of us have to sort of, embrace and help grow and increase exponentially. So I hope all of you are sort of, spreading the word of our of our gospel of madness. That you are, out there creating new converts, ensuring that all of them are having the proper information given to them, that everyone has had an open mind when tackling certain issues, whether they be about magical practice or perhaps something more spiritual or perhaps even something even mundane. We have to be able to be the forefront of information, the sentinels of wisdom. We have to make sure that we are there present, offering different perspectives, different ideas for people to think, because people aren't doing that as of late. And that is something that is really, upsetting me at the moment. But as you can see, it's something that I deal with all the time, regardless. So I am here willing to give you some information, things that I have been, poring over, going through. I have not forgotten the last thing I was talking to you about, which was about summoning. And it was something that I, perhaps did an introduction on. Now, I would do a more advanced perspective on it, but I don't want to bore the viewers. So I will probably save you this, but I'm putting a tab on it for the next time. I do have some more information available, but I feel as though I just have to shift around, give you something different, because I feel as though when I talk about the same subject in two videos, no one takes any interest, and we're like, we've already spoken about this. I know that, but I'm trying to prepare you for the world ahead and for the information you need to know. Because if you're going to practice these sort of things, if you're going to do whatever it is, you have to make sure that you have all of your information at hand and in mind. I don't want to be one of those professors that didn't, educate any of you into the importance and into the safeties of these sort of things, even summonings or rituals or whatever. You have to make sure that you are taking the proper precautions. You have to make sure that you have people there, that you have the right materials, that if you have a professor there, you can do that. Or perhaps, even looking at things like phone or even taking portals, all of those things sort of coincide because they involve taking an object of some kind, physical or no, from one plane of existence, either to the same plane of existence in a different area or to a different plane of existence entirely. And I apologize if I slurred my words, but I'm trying to make sure I give all of you these words in a very timely manner, because I feel as though whatever I talk about may be quite extensive, and I don't necessarily want it to be, because I want it to be, educational, entertaining for all of you idiots. So I have to make sure that, what I am saying, what I'm giving you is worthy of your mind. All right. All righty. So I was going to talk about summoning again, but I feel as though I have to do something different. I will do perhaps more advanced videos later on, I should probably make a little tab or something just to let you know that there's something available if you care to watch. There are other people I could perhaps refer you to if you prefer that. And I've mentioned them before. I am fans of, Half Witch or Witch of Wonderlust, things of that nature. Very kind people, very, what's the word? Informative. And there are other ones, but those are the ones I sort of gravitate to. They have a sort of pull that I find nice and warm and inviting. And they seem to have a lot of information and knowledge about the particular craft or whatever it is. And they don't live in a fantasy world like I do. No, they're realistic enough. They say, look, this is what we do, why we do it. You don't have to use everything like everyone else does. They give you a fresh perspective, which is honestly welcome and refreshing. So many people have archaic ideas as to what the craft is, what it's supposed to be doing, without considering the fact that it can change over time and that it can change for different people, for different circumstances. So you have to make sure that you are doing your own proper research. That is what I'm urging all of you to do. So let me breathe for a few moments. So let me that felt like a confession. Oh my God. So no, I know I'm trying to breathe right now because I feel like I gave an entire lecture within 6 minutes. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. There's something missing there. Here it is. Okay, no. So, oh my, I feel so winded. I don't know what it is. I feel so, I don't know, alive, probably. All right, so the next thing I think I should probably talk to you about, and it was something that I perhaps was holding for a later date for the season, but I feel as though something like this persists for a long time. And so I saw a video earlier about a woman, I forget what her name was. She is another practitioner, and she was mentioning how she felt as though there was a haunting in her house of some kind, or a spirit or something there, a strange type of energy that was making her very uncomfortable. And so she requested the aid of another practitioner, someone who is a lot more known for these sorts of things, who has the knowledge of, exorcising, if you want to put it mildly, or just simply, what's the proper word? Evacuating or escorting certain energies or beings off of the premises. Sort of like a spirit call, if you want to be that way. She requested the aid of Olivia, the Witch of Wonderlust, who I absolutely love and I respect entirely. And she was pretty much sent there to help, sort of handle this sort of problem. And what was unique is that she testifies and she says that as soon as Olivia walked through the door, she pointed in an area of the house and said, is that where the spirit is coming from, the disturbance? And the other petitioner confirmed it without even having to say much. She was like, there's something in the house. I don't know what it is. She came into the door. She knew exactly where it was. And that takes a level of, that level of discernment or perhaps understanding, or I believe, radar, to make it, simple. It takes time to develop that sort of thing. Some people have a natural knack for it, an ability to sense energy. Empaths share this sort of ability. But if they're not practicing or if they're not enhancing their abilities, it can be a bit dull. Some of us are able to sense certain things. I believe the issue sometimes coincides with whether or not it is as sinister as we perceive it, or if it is, perhaps a very unsettling type of energy, not necessarily bad, just unwelcome, or just makes you uncomfortable or easy, like that pervert at your wedding. That sort of thing. They don't really mean harm, but they make everyone feel very uncomfortable. So that's not something you want, ideally. But she went in, and there is a whole process that they did, a ritual sort of thing, because they're both practitioners, to sort of, help guide this thing out. And they admit later on that they perhaps did a bit too much for the requirement at hand. But the space does feel a lot more light. It feels happier. She's able to, use the object that was indeed haunted or whatever a lot better now. She doesn't feel the strange, sense of uncomfortability. She feels at ease. And so the subject I will be talking about in this video is going to be the concept of haunting and what haunting is in, reference to the things like the spirits or even things like the energies. How a haunting is also known as an echo of the spirit world, that, or sometimes of this one, that sort of carry through time. And so when you think of an echo, for example, you think of something that is residual. It keeps resounding. It is a ripple of the original sound that was given. It is an echo. It is a after image, for those of you who watch anime. It's a sort of thing that, progresses and that lingers after the initial event already happened. And sometimes the initial event is a person's life. Perhaps, somebody who was living at a certain point in time, they died, or perhaps the energy that they left in the area is still there. That is why a lot of people are uneasy when it comes to purchasing homes where they've known someone has died or perhaps a murder was committed. Why? Because the echoes of that murder, of the energy, of the event still persist within the same home. And every now and then, spirits are sort of identify, or perhaps who are witness to that event, or perhaps, absorb some of the energy of that area, remain within that area and give off an uneasy vibe, which is something that you might have to get out of your home if you're planning on living there permanently or even for a temporary amount of time. You have to make sure that you are keeping in mind that these sort of things are in fact real, that these are things that you are taking caution with, that you have the proper professionals helping you, because a lot of people out there claim to be something that they are really not. And when it comes to dealing with spirits, you need someone that understands spirits and that also understands that though, they may seem extremely ethereal and alien to us, they are still a person in a certain regard. They can become offended. They can become happy. They are embodiments of spirits, of emotion, of intention. That is why a lot of people, even other practitioners, use them within their craft, because some of them, act as hubs or perhaps agents of energy or of wills. So you have to keep those certain things in mind, okay? So when it comes to the subject of a haunting, what a haunting really is where it could be one of two things, and I'll make it extremely simple just for those two matters. I could bring up other technicalities, but in the simplest sense, if it is not a spirit that is residing within a domicile, within a domain, it is an energy, a residual of whatever present in that area. The residual energy or the echo can come from a person, a physical living person that was living within the home at the time, or that perhaps had possession of a certain type of object that you had then acquired afterwards. And this particular object could have been something that they were either very fond of or something that they were not. Something that they used a lot and that has absorbed some of their energy, some of their being, and then by you purchasing, you sort of welcome their energy into your home. And so if they were a person of, a particular neurotic nature, sometimes a lot more anxious or perhaps bad or something like that, and their energy was saturated enough within the area at all, the other objects within the domain had acquired and had absorbed that same type of energy and that had retained it. And upon acquiring this certain type of object, you then allow this sort of type of energy into your home, into your space. So a lot of people, believe it or not, don't really have this sort of sixth sense. Let's put it that way. They aren't able to sense this sort of type of energy. But there are some type of people that are perhaps a bit put off. They notice things around their home upon purchasing said item, or perhaps just moving in, that they don't feel is normal, or perhaps gives them a sense of uneasiness. If you have a sense of uneasiness in your own home, after a short time or a long time, it is an indication that there is an echo of energy or spiritual force within your home. And you have to make sure that you have your bases covered. Every now and then, it could just be someone's acute paranoia. But even then, you could argue that there are perhaps some lingering spiritual side effects or perhaps some energy that they are picking up that is, essentially throwing off their equilibrium. And it is something that they themselves have to stop or perhaps seek a medium or perhaps another practitioner's advice for, or perhaps someone that, practices and, escorting certain energies out of a person, out of anything, in order to regain a certain type of peace. Because these certain things, do happen regularly. And it is something that is, unfortunately, not spoken enough about. So when we think of hauntings, we think of a ghost of some kind. A spirit that is residing within a space of residence and that they are running amok, okay? But it's not always the case. Every now and then, perhaps we have a spirit or two that perhaps means you well. It is rare because they tend to try to respect people's places or things of that nature. Every now and then, if they are seeking refuge from any other spiritual force that could perhaps be harmful or perhaps have some types of energies that perhaps corrupt them, they will try to seek a domain of refuge. of peace, or perhaps recharging their energies, or a place where they feel they might be safe. And so in that instance, they would try to, not allow themselves to be sensed in any slight of the word. Sometimes they even, provide healing when you're not aware of it. They're really trying to sort of let you know, if they want to or not, that if you are aware of their presence, they don't mean you any harm. They try to not do anything that might, spark your interest or anything else, because some, believe it or not, are aware of the laws that govern the physical world, the laws of earth, or whatever you want to call it, how things are supposed to be acting. But you do have these things that sort of tend to happen. If you have random creaks in your house or noises, if you have random light flickers, if it's not things like attributed to energy in a physical sense, it could perhaps be this sort of type of spirit interacting or just moving about the house that's affecting the physical, components of your home. Now you see a random thing that's open, sometimes a drawer, a cabinet, or whatever. Every now and then, sometimes even things like dreams, having a repetitive dreams, or certain dreams that you think are very peculiar, very odd, could be the case that perhaps there is a spirit within your domain. And because you don't have any walls, or you don't have any incantations set in place to guard your home against certain spirits, or perhaps it was effective, because that indeed does happen, it is perhaps a chance, or perhaps a reason that there perhaps may be a spirit, or perhaps an echo of energy within your home at any point in time. I remember specifically as well, when I spoke about things like objects having sort of lingering things like curses, for example. A curse on an object is an echo of what was put upon it, an echo of an event, the curse that took place, or perhaps the intention of malice that was put upon this certain type of object. A curse is a type of echo. You could say that curses themselves are haunting elements. And this is something that I should probably introduce for a little bit right now. Haunting elements are things that are echoes of energy or of a certain type of spirit itself. Like, for example, sometimes the anxiety you feel, if it's not a spirit, it is a haunting element. Because some people say a haunting element in my realm to discern the difference between a spirit's interaction versus the energy that was left over within the home. And that is something that you need to, study up on a little bit. A haunting element can be anything. It can be an object that gives you peace. It could be an object that you feel as though gives you clarity of mind. It could even be an object that perhaps, I guess sort of, allows you to sleep and in bed or whatever. If you think about things like sigils or runes, things that you place around the home, these things have residual energy. Sometimes they have to be charged with the person's own intention and energy, for a spell or whatever. But these sort of things are technically haunting elements. Any type of energy that is residual from an original factor is a type of haunting element. And it's something that some of you require for certain tasks that you have ahead of you. These are certain things that some of you have, put in place in order for you to have the domain of peace that you created, or perhaps to even, undergo certain, special practices or things, that kind of stuff. The mood you're setting, a mood you set is a type of haunting element, because it is a residual type of force or energy that you imbued or that you incanted into your space. Sometimes it could even be an object that is specifically designed for that purpose. If you bring an object into your home and it sort of provokes a type of energy, or it emits a type of energy, positive or negative, that object itself has a haunting element. A haunting element can be something like either a boon or a curse of some type. So you have to be very careful with what you're welcoming into your home, with what you are using for your craft, and that you're doing it in safety and in intelligence. You have to make sure that you are doing this with intent, and that you are seeking the advice of others, even more seasoned practitioners, of what you are doing. Now, I will preface this first by saying, to all of you perhaps are watching this, don't know what the hell's going on, what I'm talking about. I talk about these certain things from time to time. I'm an educational channel or whatever. But I will say this, that what I say is mostly theoretical in nature. If you don't believe in this sort of things, that is fine. That is absolutely fine. But if you do, and if what I'm saying makes sense, you may want to sort of take my words into consideration. It is a theoretical approach to the practice of magic, or whatever they do. Okay? It is a way for the people to understand how something may in fact work. I try to be a lot more analytical about certain types of things. Mathematical, I don't really want to get into, but there are math elements within these sort of things, if you want to believe it or not. Geometric shapes, how they strengthen the type of spells you do, things like lines, um, you know, organic also works too, but symmetrical types of things also work. There's certain religions that sort of base the whole theory on it, and but like I said, I digress when it comes to that sort of thing. But when I am talking about these sort of things like hauntings or anything else, or even any sort of concept or subject I talk about, I do so on this channel in a theoretical manner, and it's something for you to understand, to take with you, to write notes on, and I try to do it in a light-hearted manner. But sometimes there are some things I feel as though, because I am a professor in these certain things or whatever, a teacher in the dark art, I am trying to prepare all of you, mundane or no, how to handle certain situations. Okay, so let's say you have something that is haunted or something that is happening. What do you do about it? How do you get rid of it? If you don't have a practitioner that is seasoned in these sort of things, or someone that perhaps knows where to get the things you need, I require you to do your own proper research. You need to first analyze what type of thing is happening wherever you are. If the change happened prior to moving in, after you moved in, after you purchased a type of item, or perhaps after a certain type of person entered your home. These are certain types of things you have to keep in mind, okay? The before object thing can also apply to objects within a home, but you would only really know if you move in at first, okay? You can do a general cleanse, an advanced cleanse, or perhaps you can do a total cleanse of the property, which takes a large amount of energy. But I require you seek another practitioner for these sort of types of things. You need to understand what the thing is that you feel when you're in a certain space. Even if you purchase an object or no, do you feel good or not? You have to discern whether or not if it's an object that has haunting elements attached to it, or if it is a spirit that sort of hijacked itself, either onto your person, a visitor you had in your home, or they sort of wormed their way, to put it lightly, into your home at a certain point in time when you weren't aware. You have to analyze those things first. If you're not sure, seek another person's advice or help. If you trust another practitioner, if you are close enough, you can ask them to enter your domain if you know that they are professionals or no. You have to ensure that they, know what they are talking about, that they can confirm what it is you feel. When you invite them, ask them, okay, so how do you feel about the space? They would then have to tell you. If they are savvy enough about these sort of matters, they would tell you, I do admit I feel a bit uneasy here. That is a way for you to help confirm whether or not they are sort of aligned with your, sense of feeling or whatever. You have to ensure that they know what they're talking about, or that they know people that they can contact and give you advice as to what to use. A third thing, if you find out that there is something wrong, spirits or whatever, aside from having a person to help, escort the spirit off the premises, if it's something that has residual energy, you can do a general cleanse with spells or whatever. If a person that you are with does not have, I believe, enough wisdom or have ability in a certain manner, you can then seek the aid of herbologists, or perhaps people that specialize in things like herbs, or even people that specialize in things like, carnal elements that have, spiritual effects or interactions. Things like crystals, things like gems, things like stones, agates, things that have been imbued and charged with purifying energy, even energy to help guide spirit out of your home. Because sometimes they are there either for refuge, sometimes they are trapped there, sometimes they are confused. And you have to remember the spirits are also people, that they are, beings that are existing in a different plane of existence, that they are interacting with us here, and that maybe what our home looks like may not look like what it is over there. But, they probably are feeling uneasy as well and don't really know why. However, like I said, it is not necessarily their fault, but sometimes it is. You just have to keep in mind what it is. You need someone that is an expert as to what type or level of perhaps spirit it is, or perhaps spiritual force it is. They have to do an analytical approach about it. They have to understand what they need to escort it off your premises. They need to understand what sort of things are required to do this sort of thing. You yourself can do, but you have to make sure you're doing it in caution and with protection. Make sure you put down wards, protective barriers, charms, or whatever you have if you're going to do this sort of thing, okay? I would recommend, if you're going to do something like this and you're not used to it, I recommend having another practitioner there with you, someone who is savvy to the things, someone who is experienced enough that can help guide you through the process, or perhaps provide you some sort of protection or a fallback plan in case things don't go so well. Because depending on the level of spirit, it can get quite dicey, and that is what you don't want, okay? So you have to make sure you have the right components, the right elements when it comes to sort of exercising these things out of your home, out of your place of residence, whatever it is, a whole house. Some of you probably live in one. So you have to make sure that you are taking that into account. Also, when you are, having your home, and I spoke about this before when it came to creating things like, seals or, things like, rituals or things of that nature. I want you to keep in mind that your home is your sanctuary. It is your castle. It is your place of residence. It is where you go to recharge your energy. It is a place where you rekindle your magic. It is a place that you go for peace, to relax. So anything you bring with you from the outside realm, outside of your zone of comfort, your space of safety, can have itself attached a haunting element, an echo of a spirit or energy that may or may not be what you want in your home at the time. So whatever you're bringing, if you are sensing something as you bring in, don't take it with you. Do a cleansing right there if you can. Or if you, better yet, if you have an amulet of protection, wear that. Okay, it'll help deter any sort of spirits that are trying to hitch a ride on an object at last minute, because it happens. Okay. Focus your energy into a field around you. Increase its size, its potency. Focus on that. Use your intention. Okay, charge yourself to doing that. If you can make a zone, a field of purification, of safety, however you can, do that. Okay, and make sure that it is big enough to incorporate your person and whatever you're taking with you. Some people do use it for their cars as well, because cars go everywhere. Okay, and leaving your car in a certain place, even for a certain amount of time, something can attach itself to your vehicle. However, if you have the inside pretty much cleansed, or if your being is inside creating a field, your field or your barrier can sort of force the other energy out if you are strong enough in your element, okay? And even your car. Even if you drive a car, for example, anytime you go out into the world driving, you don't know what's going to happen. Even do a cleanse of your vehicle. Bless your vehicle, or whatever you want to call it. Enchant it. Put runes on your vehicle if you want to, in the inside or whatever. Anything that gives you the peace of mind, the protection that you require, that you need to get through your day. To disallow, and to discourage any sort of energy or spirit from trying to hitch a ride freely on your vehicle or on your person, okay? You have to make sure that you're taking those things into account, that you're doing it in safety, that you're doing it right, okay? So, haunting is a big deal. Haunting happens all the time, okay? Without us even knowing it. Whenever you dream, whenever you wake up, whenever you go walk around your home, whenever you come in from the outside world, every day a haunting takes place. Whether or not it is good or bad depends upon the spirit, depends upon the haunting element that takes place. Okay? You have to make sure that you are doing these things, that you are practicing, that you are, sort of practicing protective or defensive magic. Okay? You are creating yourself elements, or amulets, that help enhance your safety and your abilities to sort of fight off these certain types of things. Okay? But hauntings are extremely common. Just because you don't see anything floating in your house does not mean your house isn't haunted, okay? If it's not by spirit, it could be by haunting elements, residual energies, echoes within your home. So you have to make sure you keep those certain things in mind, okay? So, without further more delay, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're perhaps unsure about what I talked about, I urge all of you to perhaps do your own proper, research, your own type of, finding things out. If these are certain types of things that, you are indeed curious about, that you're perhaps unsure of or whatever, I urge all of you to perhaps pay attention, go to school, make sure that you are going to the proper classes, that you are, taking the proper courses, and that you are practicing these sort of things in safety, okay? Make sure that you're doing a proper cleanse of your home from time to time, of objects you have, whatever it is, even your books or whatever you're using, that you ensure that you are getting enough rest for what you need, that the dreams you are having are, results of these certain types of things, that you ensure that you are, getting your proper exercise, your nutrients in, that you are, doing cardio safely, if you know what I mean. Make sure that you are doing enough information or research on things you're bringing into your home. Even things like decor or anything else can have a haunting element in it. If you're unsure about it, if you feel uneasy, don't take it with you. Do not, okay? Just don't do it. To save you the trouble, honestly. But but on this channel, we are a family of sorts, a coven, if you want to, put it that way. We are here to sort of discover things, to learn things, to have a place of refuge, of safety, to talk about this, and even joke around from time to time. I do it from time to time, and I apologize if my videos haven't been, as funny or humorous as my other ones. But like I said, this was a subject that I thought, I had to talk about to make sure I got all the information out there as much as possible. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day, a wonderful life, a wonderful time. That's in this world or whatever you're doing, that you are, keeping a positive attitude, mentality, positive practice, all of these things. I will be here next video. I don't know when it will be happening, but it will happen. But if you have perhaps a subject you would like me to tackle on, if I hadn't already, I will go into it. And if I did, I'll give you a brief summary, or perhaps a brief review. Okay? Remember that I love you, that Pahalo loves you, that the spirits that guide and watch over us love you as well, that we are a family here, that we are friends on this channel. That, remember that the world isn't really as bad as it looks. Sometimes that itself is a type of residual energy, an echo. Sometimes that itself is an intention that is given by other, more, malpractitioners. Remember that, to have a positive outlook on life, to make sure that you are, doing your due diligence in looking up information, doing everything else. That you remember that I care for you, that we care for you, that you remember to let your brother out of his cage once in a while, okay? That you eat healthy, because honestly, it is good to be well, to be healthy. Because believe it or not, it can also help amplify your spellcraft, believe it or not. The energy of the objects you take in or eat have an effect on your magic. I will go into a later video. But for now, get whacked and goodbye!